Love actually is
Oh, dead. Dead. Well, I mean, I don't see any romance anywhere, even in the cities where you could guarantee to see couples snogging in the streets, Paris, Rome. No, they're just staring at their phone. Eating.
From Breaking Point, it's a news channel on YouTube, and they did like a deep dive on kind of this loneliness epidemic, if you would call it, because they found a study that said 63% of men between the ages of 18 to 29 years old are single, while at the same time, women in that same exact age range, 18 to 29 years old, only 31% of them are single. So twice the amount of men in that range are single compared to the amount of women there.
So I have a friend, and they were commenting to me that they're not lonely anymore because their spouse doesn't travel like the spouse used to travel. And I said, well, I think at the core of loneliness is that every single one of us wants to be understood, that no one really gets us.
Welcome to the Live Truly Free podcast, where we provide fatherly guidance to entrepreneurs at any level of their journey. Hi, I'm George Black, and this is AJ. Are you ready for this week's adventure of building great companies and discovering the Live Truly Free lifestyle for entrepreneurs? Awesome, let's get started.
And I said, well, I think at the core of loneliness is that every single one of us wants to be understood, that no one really gets us.
Mm-hmm.
And this person was like, they didn't really react, but you could tell from their reaction, it was like, oh. And see, I think this person had it confused.
Mm-hmm.
I think this person was no longer alone.
But they're still lonely.
But they're still lonely.
Because the wife is around more often doesn't mean she understands you anymore.
Right, exactly. I've been thinking about loneliness, not only for this topic, but just, this whole concept of, people not understanding us, not understanding me the way I would like to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me about an antidote for loneliness. And so today, when this episode airs, in the liturgical calendar, it's called Maundy Thursday. Mm-hmm. And so I've always enjoyed and liked the liturgical calendar because it has certain seasons. And this was put together thousands of years ago by the church fathers. And so I just kind of like that. But I've never really known what Maundy Thursday meant.
I don't know what it means either.
I don't think anybody does. So I did a little research, and absolutely fascinating. I had to look it up in like Webster's, like in the dictionary, and it comes from, so I've got to read this. It comes from the old French word maud, which in turn comes from the Latin word mandatum, which means mandate or command. So let me put a little historical context around this, because this night, Thursday night, is in the Holy Week, and it commemorates or remembers the night Jesus was actually canceled.
How was he canceled? Or what do you mean by that?
Well, yeah, he was handed over to be crucified.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to cancel this guy. They're going to get rid of him. He is big trouble. And so it's like, so what is the mandate? And here was what was fascinating. In the dictionary I was looking at, I think it was Webster's, it quotes this from the book of John. So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. This is the mandate or command.
That sounds exactly like what we need in this world.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. In one simple mandate, I think Jesus just shattered loneliness. And it's just love each other as I've loved you. Boom. Now, you can spend the rest of your life working on trying to achieve that.
Yeah.
Okay. But can you imagine what that does to loneliness in your life?
If every moment you're just focusing on pouring out as much love as you can into the world. how does that solve your loneliness, though, if no one pours it back?
Right. Hang on to that question, and let's keep going into the story of this, what I'm going to start calling Mandate Thursday night.
Mhm.
Because, you see, so Jesus is with his best friend. There's these 12 guys. These are his closest buds.
Mhm.
And they head off to this place. They're in Jerusalem, and it's still there, called the Garden of Gethsemane. And they head off to there. And then, and it's dark, it's at night. There's all these olive trees in the Garden of Gethsemane. There he grabs his 3 best friends, so it's sort of his inner circle of the other 12, to go further into the garden and pray with him.
Okay.
So there was a movie in 2004 called The Passion of the Christ, and this is where it begins. It begins with them in Gethsemane, and it's a brilliant recreation of the event.
Okay.
And you feel the loneliness in the moment. And so Jesus goes off to pray by himself, leaves the 3, and tells them to keep praying. And he comes back, and they've all fallen asleep.
They didn't take his. They didn't listen and keep praying.
And so he's frustrated. I mean, he gets a little pissed, quite frankly. I mean, he says, "What? You can't even pray for me? Pray with me for an hour?"
Yeah.
And so what you see, and for a lot of reasons, which we don't have time to really get into, I think this is probably the loneliest moment any human being has ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
He's abandoned by his friend. He's abandoned by God. But it gets even worse.
How could it get much worse than it already is at this point?
So what happens is one of the 12 has headed out. And so he comes back with all of these soldiers, and he betrays Jesus' location with a kiss. And a kiss in any culture is a sign of affection.
Mm-hmm.
So he uses a sign of affection to betray his friend. So it's like, okay, I mean, just try to go there emotionally with you. Your friends betray you. I mean, how lonely is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst kind of loneliness.
Yeah, the people you thought you could count on and thought always had your back, they no longer do.
Right. And then, so the other guys, well, now they're awake, okay, because there's this big group of people there and soldiers and whatever. Well, all the other people, so those close friends, they all just scatter. They run for the hills.
And leave him there to...
They leave him there. They just leave him there to be arrested. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's kind of like, imagine, this is not what it's like, okay? But I'm just trying to relate to this, and this is what I try to do. It's like, let's say you got a bunch of friends in the car, and you get pulled over by the cops, and there's something illegal going on or whatever, and they all pile out of the back, out of the other side, and go running into the forest, and it's like, you're sort of left there to face the music. It's not even your fault, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to create. I probably didn't do a very good job with that.
That's close enough. I mean, it's hard to you come up with a modern example for the lowest point in human history.
Yeah. And so he gets hauled off, Jesus does. He gets hauled off, canceled, tortured, and ultimately crucified, and he dies on the cross. So not only is there emotional pain, there's physical pain.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, while he's experiencing the physical pain on the cross, he's reliving the emotional pain, because, like, what else are you going to do up there?
Right. I mean, by the time this thing all settles out, his mom and best friend and another lady are there. That's it. Everyone else is gone. And they didn't really want to be there. I mean, it's a pretty difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets it.
Yeah.
That's the point of all this. He gets our loneliness. So that's why the mandate is so helpful, to love each other as he's loved us. Because God loves everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why he loves them so much. He had to abandon his own son to do this. And there's a whole lot more reasons, which we're not going to get into, because what really just jumped out at me at this it was researching the definition, is actually how it all started, was what's the antidote to loneliness? And I think that's it. And so the story continues, just so that you know, in case you don't know, to the Sunday, where what happens is Jesus has promised to make all things new. And he does on that Sunday morning. And he becomes all new and rises from the dead. And so it's just this fantastical story, and it's all based in love.
Mm-hmm.
And so to answer your question, and I think you've asked a very deep question, I'm going to give a real simple answer. I think you begin to draw people to you. Mm-hmm. Who can resist that kind of love?
Yeah. And also, if they follow the mandate too, and they're going to start seeing that as they pour in love,
right.
They start feeling better. It's kind of spreads across humanity as God would intend.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this Maundy Mandate Thursday is the best thing to combat loneliness. And it's just simple. Just love one another as God's loved us. And look, we're not perfect, right? We're going to hurt each other. But we do the best we can in this. And even when you read, go back to the Lonely at the Top article, Fast Company with Tim Cook. When you read the tactics, and there are other articles out there on the same topic with different kinds of tactics, you will see at the core of some of these tactics is love. So give it a try and have a happy Easter. So for more conversations like this one between me and AJ, check out this video right here. I know you're going to love it. And in the meantime, may you live truly